You checked your phone this morning before you got out of bed. Don't argue, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Eyes barely open, 3 seconds after the alarm, already scrolling. You think you chose to do that. You didn't. Something in that phone chose for you. That something has a name. It's called variable ratio reinforcement. B.F. Skinner discovered it in 1950 on rats. The same mechanism that keeps gamblers at slot machines for 14 hours without eating. The same mechanism that built the casino industry. Silicon Valley took Skinner's rat experiment, applied it to 3 billion humans, and called it a news feed. This is not a video about phone addiction. This is a video about the most sophisticated psychological weapon ever built, handed to children and sold as a communication tool. Your phone was not designed by engineers. It was designed by casino psychologists, and they were very, very good at their jobs. Let's start with the rats. B.F. Skinner, 1950. He put rats in boxes with levers. When a rat pressed the lever, sometimes a food pellet dropped, sometimes nothing. Unpredictable, random, variable. He discovered something that changed psychology, and eventually, your life. Unpredictable rewards produce more compulsive behavior than predictable ones. The rat that gets a pellet every single time stops pressing the lever when it's full. The rat on the random schedule never stops, even when it's exhausted. Even when the pellets stop coming, it just keeps pressing. Congratulations, you're the rat. The lever is the refresh button. In 2013, a product designer named Lauren Brichter invented Pull to Refresh, the gesture you use to reload your Twitter, Instagram, email feed. Pull down, release, wait. He later said, and this is an actual quote from an actual person who built the thing, that it was addictive, and he was not proud of it. He designed a slot machine handle and put it in 3 billion pockets. Tristan Harris was the design ethicist at Google. His job, officially, was to make sure Google's products were ethical. His conclusion after years inside the machine, Pull to Refresh is a slot machine. You pull a lever and you get either a reward or not. He resigned. He now runs an institute warning the world about what he helped build. This is the tech industry equivalent of a cigarette company scientist going public. Except the cigarette scientists waited decades. Tristan Harris waited a few years. Now, the red notification badge. The little red circle on your app icons. That color was not chosen randomly. Red is the most physiologically arousing color on the visible spectrum. Fastest to trigger the fight or flight response. Fastest to activate the amygdala. The same reason stop signs are red. The same reason blood is alarming. Someone at Facebook sat in a meeting and chose red. Specifically, deliberately, because it would make you look. Every single time, no matter what you were doing. Because they needed you to look. Because your attention is what they sell. Dr. Anna Lemke, professor of psychiatry at Stanford. She specializes in addiction medicine. Her description of your phone, a hypodermic needle delivering digital dopamine to billions. Here's the mechanism she's describing. Every notification, every like, every scroll that reveals something new triggers a small dopamine release. Your brain registers this as reward. And like any reward system, the more you use it, the more tolerance you build. The baseline rises. The same stimulus produces less response. So your brain does what brains do. It downregulates. It produces less dopamine to compensate for the constant artificial stimulation. And now you're in what Lemke calls the dopamine deficit state. Anxiety, flat mood, difficulty concentrating, inability to enjoy simple things. Sound familiar? Here's the part that should make you put the phone down right now. In this state, you don't reach for the phone because it makes you feel good. You reach for it because it makes you feel less bad. You're not chasing pleasure anymore. You're medicating withdrawal. A 2025 study, 500 people, real-time brainwave monitoring. After 2 hours of scrolling, 35% drop in impulse control in the prefrontal cortex. We covered the prefrontal cortex in the Wu Wei episode. It's the part of your brain responsible for decision-making, self-control, long-term thinking. The part that makes you, you. After 2 hours on Instagram or TikTok, it's 35% less effective. Not tired, not distracted, neurologically impaired. Oxford University tracks language. Every year, they choose a word that captures the cultural moment. Their word for 2024? Brain rot. Not a medical term, a cultural acknowledgement that mass cognitive decline, caused by digital consumption, has become so widespread it needed its own name. It made the Oxford Dictionary, before most people noticed it was happening. I'll leave you with something a person wrote on Reddit. Not a researcher, not a doctor, just someone who noticed. I used to be fantastic at writing. Now I sound like I'm drunk. He's not drunk. His prefrontal cortex is busy processing notifications. It's been busy for years. Let's talk about the numbers. Not the neuroscience numbers, the behavioral ones. Ofcom, the UK's communications regulator, measured how often the average person checks their phone. Every 12 minutes. Every 12 minutes. While awake, that's roughly 80 times a day. Before breakfast, during meetings, mid-conversation, in the bathroom. On average, 4 hours a day spent on the device. 4 hours. That's 28 hours a week. 1,460 hours a year. That's 60 days. You spend 60 days a year staring at a glass rectangle that was designed by casino psychologists to make sure you don't stop. Between 5 and 10% of Americans currently meet the clinical criteria for social media addiction. Not heavy use, not problematic use, clinical addiction. Neurologically identical to gambling disorder. Same brain regions, same reward pathways, same withdrawal symptoms. The only difference is that gambling addiction is regulated. Social media addiction is a growth metric. You are not the customer. You are the product. Your attention is what's being sold to advertisers who pay billions to access your eyeballs, which your phone keeps pointing at their ads. Facebook doesn't make money when you connect with friends. It makes money when you scroll past an ad. Instagram doesn't profit from your memories. It profits from your compulsion. TikTok doesn't care about your entertainment. It cares about your next 3 seconds of attention. And I see you. Closing one app and opening another. Instagram to Twitter. Twitter to TikTok. TikTok back to Instagram. Lap after lap. Not because you're enjoying it, because the dopamine deficit makes stopping feel like losing. And the apps know this. They were built for this exact moment. The moment you almost leave and don't. Here's where it gets interesting. And by interesting, I mean specifically designed. Let's say you've heard enough. Let's say you want out. Let's say you want to live like it's 2005, when people left the house without a phone and somehow arrived at places and met people and didn't die. Good luck. Your bank requires the app for two-factor authentication. Your employer requires you to be reachable. Your university account, your government ID, your health records, all require the device. Your social life is on WhatsApp. Your photos are on iCloud. Your music is on Spotify. Your boarding pass is on your phone. This didn't happen by accident. Every essential service that moved to mobile made you more dependent on the device. Every time going digital was announced as progress, the exit door got smaller. One Reddit user wrote, "They are slowly enslaving us to these devices. I can't go analog, even if I wanted to." He wanted to, he couldn't. And now, a detail that should genuinely disturb you. The feed you scroll through doesn't exist. Not as a real collection of content from real people you chose to follow. It's a real-time algorithmic construction built specifically for you in the moment you open the app. Optimized not for what you enjoy, optimized for what keeps you scrolling. A Reddit user described their Facebook timeline. Not friends, not updates. Ads and posts from groups they never joined. Posts, almost certainly AI-generated, built to maximize engagement. The content isn't real. The algorithm is real. And its only goal is that you don't leave. Casino psychologists, hired by tech companies to design your daily behavior. This is not a conspiracy theory. Tristan Harris worked there. He told us. We kept scrolling. Here's what I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you to delete the apps. You know you should. You won't. I'm not going to give you a screen time limit. You've set them. You've ignored them. The app that tracks your addiction is on the same device as the addiction. I'm not going to tell you you're weak, because you're not. B.F. Skinner's rats weren't weak. They were responding normally to a system specifically designed to make them compulsive. The rat in the variable ratio box was not a bad rat. It was a rat in a very well-designed box. You are not weak. You are the target. The most sophisticated behavioral engineering operation in human history was pointed directly at you, at your dopamine system, at your need for connection, at your boredom, at your loneliness, at the 12 minutes between the last time you checked and the next time you will. The people who built this knew exactly what they were building. Tristan Harris told us. The Stanford psychiatrist told us. Oxford gave it a name. The rats told us 70 years ago. You're not addicted because you have no willpower. You're addicted because willpower was never supposed to fight this. Willpower is for decisions. This was engineering. And the engineers got paid. The rabbit hole.